Hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to this news video. I am the Engineer. The topics we are covering today are as follows. Spider senses tingling. Legislation woes. Cybertruck glue video. Another day, another solar chemistry. Carbon capture to electricity. R2 suspension redesign. Solar cell efficiencies at a glance. This is cool, and things I liked. Let's get started. Alrighty, so, there are a lot of times in my readings and when I'm vetting articles for this video that I end up having a sort of an epiphany and a realization that the subject matter might not be that great. I kind of wanted to introduce this idea as more of a lens into how I vet content for this channel. So we have an article here from Austria Batteries, an Austria Batteries company. This article basically says that they have created a battery that can literally be planted to create some kind of clean energy. And so when I saw this article, I said to myself, my spider senses are a little tingly here. It feels like kind of a hoax. So let's go ahead and read through it and figure out what's going on here. And long story short, it was completely wacko. Not just because of the claims that they made, but the explanation of the claims made those claims less credible. So, let me show you what I mean here. So it says Austria quietly position. First of all, grammar is awful in this particular article, which is always an indication to me that this was not written for an American audience or an audience that speaks English as their first language, which does not necessarily mean that the article is always going to be bad or is always going to be making crazy claims that don't make sense. That's not always the case, but it is one of the many indicators that I have that this might not be kosher. The reason they invented a way to plant used batteries as if they were seeds. Now, I searched after seeing this article all over the internet for a battery that is planted or that it can be planted in order to create energy of any kind. Planted meaning, in my opinion, being put into some form of soil and something sprouting from said battery, in this case clean energy. I could not find anything that backed this claim up. More importantly, I couldn't find anything that was analogous or was peer-reviewed or studied. Whenever you look through an article, if you think it is a little bit crazy or a little bit out of the way or something strange, then generally speaking what you would do is you would go and search for other instances that corroborate this particular situation. And so I could not find any, and the ones that I did find were basically this article again or something copy-pasted. That's another thing, by the way. When you can find other articles about this topic that seem to be copy-pasted versions of the subject matter that you have found, that is another pretty clear indicator that they are either using bots or something like that, or they are trying to make some kind of claim widespread, or some kind of sensational situation catch on. They're trying to make it go viral, basically. Now, it says this discovery from the Technical University of Vienna may sound like a joke, but they've managed to transform these batteries, yes, it does sound like a joke, by the way, into clean energy by producing renewable methane. And therein lies the, in the first paragraph, the crux of why, in my opinion, this article has to be, wackadoo. They're trying to make claims that don't make sense. Methane is not clean energy. Methane is not renewable energy. Methane is one of the furthest things from clean energy that I can think of because of its production process. Now, if they have figured out a way to use these batteries to produce methane more cleanly than what it is currently produced as, or than how it is currently produced, then that is great. But it is not clean energy. Methane has never been a clean energy because it's just not. When you burn methane, which is 9 times out of 10 how you use methane in the first place, you are producing things that are not clean. The air does not maintain its same cleanliness when you burn anything, and methane is in that number as well. It says, yes, it is possible to turn toxic waste into clean energy. This is another strange claim, because toxic waste, technically speaking, could apply to batteries, but batteries are also recyclable. So you can just take that toxic waste and turn it into batteries again. There's no reason to reduce it or make a redox reaction to make this battery into anything else but another battery. And that doesn't cause as much pollution as it would make to burn the methane that is produced from this battery, I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive because I do not have the scientific studies, because there is no scientific study to validate this claim. So I don't know, but my intuition tells me that you could get better results from just reusing the battery as a battery than reusing the battery as methane. I don't know. Like I said, there's no study, but that's what my intuition tells me. All right, so it says, and it's not science fiction. Want to know more? Anytime I've ever seen this, oh, you want to know more? Scroll down for more. Make sure this is, yeah, all of that stuff is just trying to hype this up as something sensational, something that you just have to know right now. Every time I've seen that, I've said to myself, oh, so they're trying to suck you into an ideology, or they are trying to get you to think something, or they are trying to make sure that you are too emotionally invested to think logically or critically about the topic at hand. So yeah, this is, like I said, this is just a lens into how I think about what articles that I decide to post in this video, more so than it is about the article itself. But yeah, needless to say, I am very skeptical about the implications of this particular article, because I could not find any peer-reviewed studies. I could not find any substantiating evidence beyond other people reporting the exact same thing, sometimes with the exact same sentences. So yeah, long story short, this is not something that I would normally report on, but I'm reporting on it to kind of help you guys get in the mindset that I am in when it comes to vetting articles for this video. All right, another article that kind of has a sensational kind of thing to it, but has some truth to it as well. This Reuters article says, House budget bill effectively halts the U.S. clean energy boom. A bill passed the House recently that does a lot. It is a big bill. I would not necessarily classify it as beautiful. But that is because I am the regular, not rich peon that is not served by this particular bill at all. If you happen to not be rich also, I would say that this is probably not great for you either. But most of the tenets of this bill are cutting programs for poor people, and making those cuts benefit the wealthy through tax cuts and things of that nature. There are also a couple of other really interesting things in the bill that could be marginally beneficial to some people, such as the no tax on tips thing is in the bill. That provision has been revised a little bit to be more explicitly beneficial to people that actually make the tips, as opposed to the businesses themselves that can write off the taxes for the tips. Like it's written a little tiny bit better, but it is not better enough, in my opinion, to justify. Anyway, so moving on to this article, this basically the section of the bill that they are talking about is with relation to the stuff that electric vehicles and renewable energy benefit from, which is tax credits and things like that. They are removing the $7,500 tax credit for EVs. They are removing subsidies for a lot of solar panel technologies, plants that are producing solar panels, a lot of places producing batteries, a lot of places that are doing anything with relation to renewable energy at all, including wind. Those subsidies are being removed. Not only that, they are also making it more difficult for people with electric vehicles already to drive them by basically making a tax on top of what they are already paying for their tags, to tax those heavier vehicles in order to make them pay more because their vehicles are supposedly tearing up the roads. It is interesting to me that this is their approach to this particular situation. While I do agree that people should pay into road maintenance and things of that nature, it should be more based on like how much you drive. Like maybe we should submit our number of miles every year when we go to renew our tags, and then they tax us based on that, instead of just an arbitrary number for people that drive a particular type of car. It doesn't make sense. Except in the fact that it could be trying to dissuade people from getting EVs. That's the only reason I can think of that this tax makes any sense whatsoever. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of provisions in this bill. You can read this article that I'm putting down in the description to kind of get a better reference point for what's going on. But yeah, long story short, this is not going to be very positive for EVs as a whole, but there will be some outlying companies that will benefit from this scenario, assuming that they put together a good business plan. Alright, this next video is a video where they show the glue compound that Cybertruck uses and a whole bunch of other companies use to bond their vehicle components together. I was a proponent of this same glue compound because the Honda company used it in the Civic Type R. Still one of the best vehicles I have ever driven in, period. By far the best vehicle that I've ever owned up to this point was the Civic Type R. And that was mostly because they used a stiffening agent, a gluing compound, in order to put the frame and the chassis together, which made the body much more rigid and much more capable when it comes to driving fast. And so apparently there are other companies that use this glue, and Tesla is one of them. Zach from Jerry Rig Everything actually does a good job of showing off this glue and its potential and what it can hold and all that kind of stuff. He also shows the repair of his Cybertruck that was broken during another one of his videos. So very interesting video, just in the sense that it shows off a compound for gluing that they will probably never share the components to unless you go and find it in some kind of scientific paper. But yeah, long story short, really cool glue, really interesting video, and yeah, I'd say check it out. Alright, so this particular article talks about an organic solar cell that has reached around 20% efficiency, and it's supposed to cost 1/5 of the silicon solar cell when it comes to cost to produce. If this is true, and if they have a ceiling that is higher theoretically, so that they can bring more efficiency into this scenario, I think it would be a very fascinating way to make the Aptera more efficient and cost less. Yeah, basically it just says these researchers at a Chinese university have unveiled a low-cost polymer that drives organic solar cells to a certified 19.96% lower power conversion efficiency, which is basically unprecedented. Usually you see organic compounds that they create solar cells with hitting maybe 10, 12, 15% if you're crazy. These guys have hit 19%, which is groundbreaking for a lot of reasons, but mostly because throughout the article they talk about how the maximum efficiency of this particular compound has not even been reached. So theoretically, we could see organic solar cells with higher efficiencies, assuming that they can get them to last a while. That seems to be like the main detractor for new solar cell technologies in general, is just a lesser longevity than silicon. Yeah, that seems to be the main barrier, is just how long they last. So anyway, this is a cool technology. I've read a lot about it because it has been on my mind for quite some time, but I'm sharing it now because I've found enough to justify me thinking, oh, okay, this might be pretty cool. Rather, this might be pretty legit. Alright, so there's another battery technology that I'm talking about this video that is much more credible than the first, and it basically captures carbon while it is functioning. There are several little hurdles that they have to overcome when it comes to this technology, but basically how it works is it takes carbon from the air. Air is cycled through the battery, so it is an open air type battery. You put air through it and it captures carbon, and as it captures that carbon, it makes electricity. So this reaction causes the carbon to be removed from the air and electricity to form. The efficiency of this particular system, as you can imagine, is terrible. They are still trying to figure out how to make these batteries last more than a few cycles, because the reactions in the battery that remove the carbon also make the battery impossible to use again in that particular part of the material that they're using. They can do a little bit of like washing almost, that a chemical wash or a special type of fluid that goes through there and takes off some of that carbon again so that the battery can be used. But that process is cumbersome. There's a lot of little things that they need to work out if this battery is going to become a thing, but it is an interesting technology because it could help with carbon removal. Alright, so Rivian has shown off a new suspension system, and just to kind of give you guys an idea of how cool this is, normally the stuff that is in this particular single component would be 20 parts normally, like 20 parts in a regular car. So they've taken those pieces, they've merged them together into this starfish amalgamation of beautiful engineering. It's really neat. If it functions as well as it is designed, it is probably going to be amazing. At least according to RJ, he says it's so good. So I'm expecting it to be somewhere near as good as he is suggesting, especially if it is as good as the engineering suggests. Now, if you guys ever wanted to know the efficiencies of solar cells and all the different types of chemistries of solar cells out there, this person, Emiliano Bellini, put out a paper that shows all of the efficiencies of all of the current chemistries of solar panels, excluding the one that I talked about toward the beginning of this video, ironically. But yeah, so if you ever wanted that list, here it is. I'm going to leave it in the description so you guys can check it out. Amazon and Google sign a pledge to support tripling of nuclear energy capacity by 2050. I have always been kind of kind of ho-hum when it comes to nuclear energy for several reasons. My biggest thing with nuclear is the fact that it produces a chemical waste that is irradiating and can be dangerous to people if not properly disposed of. And if there is anything I know about companies, it is that when they can, they cut corners when it comes to disposing of things properly. This isn't all companies, this isn't everybody. I'm just saying that most times companies get in trouble. It has to do with two things. Either it has to do with money, they haven't done something with their taxes, they haven't paid somebody, whatever, it's money, or it is disposal. They are improperly disposing of some chemical and it's hurting a community somewhere. Those are the main two things that they get in trouble for. And so when you lean into an energy type that requires very specific, fairly expensive methodologies for getting rid of the toxic chemicals that are produced, the irradiated chemicals that are produced, it makes me antsy, to say the least. It makes me antsy. So it is good, in my opinion, that they are leaning into energy types that are not carbon producing, but it makes me antsy for the reasons that I just described. So interesting, cool, possibly awesome. We'll see how that plays out. I have been a fan of Rich Rodriguez since I started looking into Aptera seriously. He does a video here about basically the April update, the May update, the April update for Aptera. I had to check what month it was over here, but yeah, the April update for Aptera. He talks about how an IPO would look and things of that nature. He talks about a lot of stuff in this video that I think is really cool, that I did not know enough about to speak about competently. So he does a good job of filling in the blanks that I cannot. Check this video out if you're interested, because it is great. The second thing that I liked today was a video by Drive the Lightning, and it's basically Aptera versus everyone. I found the thumbnail particularly funny, just, throwing that out there. But yeah, the video itself talks about Aptera's general advantages over other car companies' offerings at this point. So it is a good video. I enjoyed it very much. It is very well put together from a logical standpoint, from the points that they make. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. So leaving that down there as well. Please check it out if you haven't already. All right, the next thing that I liked is a video by Aptera Owners Club. They talked about the Big Beautiful Bill and how it could benefit Aptera. You may remember earlier in this video that I mentioned that it could benefit some companies. Aptera is one of them. In fact, most startups can benefit, especially if they didn't lean into marketing about the fact that they are going to use the tax credit to make themselves cheaper. The only companies that are startups that have not done that so far are Aptera and Tello, which ironically is my perfect garage. Anyway, yeah, he talks about a lot of points here. I agree with like 99.9% of what he said here. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. It is a very good video. All right, still talking about Aptera Owners Club. He did an interview with the owner of Polydrops, and it was a phenomenal interview. It was very deep, very engaging, very in-depth. I found myself watching it more than once because there were pieces of the puzzle that I didn't catch the first time because there was so much to take out of this interview. It was very well done. One of my favorite interviews that I've watched about anybody, specifically with relation to a company CEO. But yeah, cream of the crop. Very good interview. You should check it out. Now, I linked this video underneath another topic, and I'm linking it again here. That just kind of happened because of where my copy pastes were, so I apologize in advance. I might actually end up removing it depending on if I have the time. But anyway, this video talks about in more detail the suspension system for the Rivian R2 and the starfish concept. Drew has a better vantage point than I do for this particular topic, so I would suggest watching this video as well to get a better thought process, a better idea of what this starfish situation means. I am just a guy who has worked on cars before. I have never designed or built a car, so or I've never been in the room when it's happening. So Drew has, and I would suggest checking this video out to get another perspective, a more holistic perspective than what I can offer. Very good video, please check it out. Alright, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am the Ninjaneer. If you liked this video, please do all of the YouTube-y things, the liking, the subscribing, all the things there. I am working on other ways to support the channel monetarily and things of that nature. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Alright, hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to this episode in the tragic. Hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to this news video. I am Jeff the Christian Gamer. I am not. Dag nabbit, we're gonna get this. We gonna get this. Alright. I mean, I am, but I'm not for this video. Too many gaming videos in a row. Making my head spin. Alright.